Hi. Well, it's still winter. I don't get to ride my scooter yet. But that's okay, because we're starting a video series here for you guys, parents, most likely the parents that are out there that have either a 13, soon to be 14-year-old, or a 14, 15, 16-year-old that is just getting their learner's license here in Alberta. This video works for anybody that's looking for scooters for the kids, but this one is kind of aimed at that group of people because there's a ton of them around here. Alberta has this massive scooter culture because we're allowed to ride single geared 50cc motor scooters or mopeds at 14 years old, or anybody that possesses a class 7, which is our learner's license. And that just requires a written test, and we can get out there and be in traffic. So it's very common for these things to get passed through, 10 sets of kids in 20 years. It's not uncommon. They'll get one and it'll get passed on to the next one and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And what we know about 14 to 40-year-old children, because that's what a lot of us are, is a lot of them don't know how to take care of something. And a lot of parents are honestly reasonably too busy to have to deal with it. And local motorcycle shop dealership type places, they won't touch them. They don't put they don't want to. They don't care. And you kind of understand they require just as much work as a real bike. And I say real bike, sorry, I didn't mean that. They require just as much love as full-size motorcycles, but they usually don't have the budget to put that kind of money and time into them. Also, a lot of them are really old technology, and it's a lot different from normal motorcycles, and that can be a block to motorcycle mechanics that are in a dealership situation and have very limited time to make money for themselves, because that's how our world works, is everybody's a slave. And that's not the case here. The case here at Cycle Clinic is we just want everything working right, and we want to take care of you, because in the long run, you're going to come back to me, you're going to spend money with me, and we're going to have a long-term relationship of you enjoying motorcycles and me enjoying watching it happen. So I'm going to show you what's out there typically from what I've seen in the used scooter market, and what ends up being required to get these units safe for our kids, reliable for our kids and ourselves, because nothing worse, and I'm a scooter dad of 2 kids yet and 1 coming, of getting the phone call, "Dad, my scooter died." And it doesn't matter what you're doing. As a parent, you kind of got to go deal with that, because it's what you've kind of signed on for when you've gotten them a vehicle. And I want it so that you guys can buy a scooter and be able to give them the key, and your part of making a good running, reliable vehicles is there. Teaching these kids how to ride is another thing. And we have partnered up with, give me a second. Here we go. We have partnered up with a nice company here in Red Deer, okay? If you're from Red Deer and you're in the culture of cars and stuff, you know that car culture ends up at Parkland Mall. And you've probably seen the motorcycle training guys at Parkland Mall. They are called FPM Motorcycle Rider Training, all right? With them, oh, look at that thing. That's cool. Sorry, guys, learning new things about this camera. It's wicked. Look at that, it trains me around. Anyway, okay, all of a sudden this becomes much more exciting for me. Yay me. So with FPM Motorcycles and Ari, okay, Ollie, sorry, Ollie. There's going to be a program where they are getting, once a month, I believe, is what they're planning on doing, is they're going to set up so that parents can sign up their kids for a scooter course. And I believe it's a 1-day It is. It's a one-day introduction to road safety and correct riding skills, okay? And you have to bring your own scooter, because these guys do offer a lot of courses. They're really good. They have the only Spider course around, so that's those three-wheel BRP units. And they also do a motorcycle course, which is a 2-day course to get your class 6. So it's like to get all your skills up and ready to pass your course, your actual road legal motorcycle course. So I'm gonna have that. They have a QR code and stuff. I'm gonna give that to you guys on the screen and a link. You'll be good to go. Get a hold of these guys. It's great. Now what we've done with them is we've set up a program where you pay for your scooter course. In that payment, there is a pre-inspection at the cycle clinic, okay? And that's so that I can get all of these scooters ready for the course itself, because there's a lot of 20-year-old, 25-year-old, 30-year-old scooters out there that have been bought that run and drive, but not well and not safe. And that's what this video is all going to be about. Like this one, and there's going to be 2 more, maybe 3 more videos about the real cost of cheap bikes, okay? Because what's happened is 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds have gotten a hold of these 50cc scooters, and they're not the best at taking care of their equipment. It's just what it is. We don't necessarily know how to take care of, of mechanical devices anymore. It's not part of our training in school and just in life. All of you guys or me, we typically have vehicles on warranty, and we just take them in and get it taken care of and just pay. Well, scooters don't get that love, and it's partly because the dealerships won't touch them. It's partly because we as parents or, uncles, aunts, whatever, whoever's taking care of this for these kids, we don't know how to take care of them. And the internet is dangerous. You can buy a lot of parts off Amazon, and for some things that's fine. For some things it's not. There's lots of groups that teach how to make scooters fast, and they're not good, reliable, or even fast. So there's a lot of messed with scooters out there. There's a lot of driving scooters that are demanding way too much money and need a lot of work. And that's what we're going to show you is don't go for a cheap scooter. Don't go for an expensive scooter. Go for a good scooter. And I'm going to teach you how to look for that. And if it's not something you want to pursue, you're always welcome to call me, and I'll see if I have either a scooter available in our, because we're doing a, what's it called? Reconditioning, okay? A reconditioning program here at the cycle clinic. There's even, availability to trade in yours and get a warranted, guaranteed scooter out of here. We will take care of, we'll service, and you'll have no worries. I'm big on new tires, I'm big on new brakes, I'm big on just good old-fashioned reliability where you don't have to worry about your kid getting stuck at his job at McDonald's or whatever at 9 o'clock at night when he's trying to get home, and you have to go get him or call AMA when you're at work. I want it so that this is going to be a fun summer for him. He's going to love motorcycles. My daughter loves her scooter. And whatever they need for it, right? We're going to get them out there. So with the FPM motorcycle training class, that's important here. We're going to get kids taught safety and how to be, safe, because we don't want them to die out there. And I want their scooters safe, and I want them reliable, and I want you to feel like you've got good value for your first motorcycle purchase for them. And in the long run, I end up with more riders because I need riders. We are a growing group of people. Believe it or not, motorcycle riding culture is getting bigger, and this is where it starts. I know when I was 14, if I didn't live in the middle of the Hicks, I would have required a scooter to get anywhere I wanted to go. I was fortunate enough that a grain truck or a little Jeep worked just fine to get around when I was 14. Not necessarily legally, but I would have killed for a scooter like this, and it just wasn't a thing that we kind of knew about. But now, here in the cities, even getting kids in from rural Alberta, there is scooters that do 80 pretty easily, so you can get onto some of those side roads and be safe and get them into town, get them to school, and that's what we want. So sorry for rambling, but this is what it's going to be about. I'm going to start with this scooter and show you what a really good condition scooter is. I'll talk about some of the things that I've done even on this one that ended up costing a lot that shouldn't be on you. When you buy a scooter, you want it to be ready to go or cheap enough that you can see the cost coming your way. So thanks for watching, and let's get into this. What we have here is the 2018 Yamaha Zuma 50 FX. Now these are called BWSs. You're going to see a lot of BWSs in the used market, and what that stands for is big wheel scooter, and it really means big tires, okay? These bikes are kind of good for a little bit of gravel, a little bit of camping sites, all that such, okay? I purchased this one from a kid that had it since new and did not treat it super great, all right? The one benefit of this one is that he did not discover scooter tuning, all right? So this bike never got modified for speed or power, which is good because the 4-stroke scooters, and that's something I'll talk about, don't really have the ability to be made into fast units. They're just really good on fuel and super reliable, all right? Some of the things I'm going to show you that we had to do on this bike just so that it was ready for sale, 100% in great condition for the next owner. When you're looking at these scooters, some of the things you want to watch for are missing shields, missing covers, missing guards, incorrect signal lights, wrong handlebars, wrong levers, broken mirrors, right? Scratched up frame pieces, all of that stuff. Because what that indicates is a hard life and someone that didn't want to put any money back into a nice little machine, okay? So the first kind of alarm when I'm looking at scooters is the ignition switch, okay? These are actually a really common failure issue on bikes that are stored outside, okay? The electrical components inside your ignition switch are super susceptible to bad weather, okay? Because that's kind of sitting here where the rain can get to it. And another thing that happens is a key is lost, all right? Now when it comes to Yamahas, they have this special little cover here, okay? And a special little key that fits in here and it locks out the ignition so that no one can try and hotwire, jimmy rig a screwdriver in there and start your scooter. This is so common to be hacked at and drilled, and what it ends up looking like is this, okay? And this little window is no longer a window, and it's open and it's hacked and it's garbage. And then you'll have drill bits, and that also indicates the bike may have been stolen. I know for a fact that this one wasn't stolen, it was just the key was lost, and the customer that owned the bike didn't want to spend the money, which wasn't a lot, you know, at the time. Probably would have been through the dealership. I mean, it would have been about $500 to get a whole new ignition switch and everything done, which seems like a lot, but it's not, because it's the beginning of what makes a bike value start deteriorating. So I ended up with getting a new cover, and I got factory real Yamaha keys, and that stuff is important. And you know, in these bikes, it comes with this little magnet thing here that actually opens that so that the key will work, okay? The next thing you want to look for is factory keys, okay? Factory keys mean that, again, the bike was well loved, and if something did go wrong, they went with a good quality OEM part. Now this is a Yamaha, so I want Yamaha parts. Now when it comes to the Chinese scooters, Amazon parts are Chinese. It's okay. They're not going to get any better than that. You know, you want your keys to match, okay? You want things like your gas cap to work with one key. Okay, if it's got 3 keys to make your seat pop, because some of them have a separate key for the seat and a separate one for for the gas cap and a separate one for the ignition. All right, that's something that you're probably going to want to change if you did buy the bike. And being factory stuff, it gets expensive, and sometimes if they're really old, it's even tough to get a full kit. I ran into that with another unit I'll show you. Another alarm is when you're looking at these bikes, have a look at the switch gear, okay? So this is your switch gear. So like this is your run and stop and your start switch, your signal lights, okay? All these switches. See if they've been, you know, scratched off or beat up or anything like that, or if they look funny, because they could also be a knockoff and they don't fail. These things almost never, they're very rare to fail. So if they failed, it's because it's been abused or hacked at or something's wrong, okay? And another indication people have been inside these things is the condition of your screws, okay? So when these screws look all hacked up and stripped, someone probably who should not have been in there was messing around with them, okay? I'll show you here the top of these brake things, all right? These have been opened. You can see a little bit of marks, which is good because that means these have been serviced. Now, I can tell you these have been serviced because I serviced it, all right? I'll show you what a bad screw looks like. Let's see if we can see this, okay? If they're all rounded off and they look like crap, that means those have been off. That means the handlebars are probably bent and they had to do something to make things straight. All right. Now, any owner that comes at you selling a bike and they want really good money, they should have explanations as to why things are not right. And just because a scooter runs and drives doesn't mean it's worth any money. Okay. On mirrors, you want to look at the edge of the mirrors. You want to see if they've, come on, focus up in there. You want to see if there's a bunch of scratches. Okay, you want to see the end of grips. All right, they need to be in good shape. The end of these. This is normal for a fall over. Okay, this is a nice light fall over. This means it was probably just dumped over on its kickstand. Little scratches here. All right. Levers have a weak spot built into them. It's right here, so that if this does fall over, typically if it's driving, this will actually break. And it's so that it breaks the tip off, but doesn't break the lever, so you can get back to wherever you need to go and replace the levers. These levers, even from Yamaha, are like $20, maybe. So when things are broken, like the edge of your lever, and it has like some aftermarket billet aluminum looking thing, as opposed to a factory Yamaha, it just tells you that they didn't really care to put things back right, because the modified stuff is, they fit sloppy, they don't work as good, they're not as good, okay? There are some super expensive aftermarket brands which, you know, you won't find on most scooters. These are the kind of things here that are indications that it's been used, and that's okay. We like used. There's a reason we're buying used. We want to save some money, okay? These are cosmetic. They have nothing to do with the functionality, and they're not that big of a deal, and likely your kid is going to do the same thing again, all right? Now, I'm going to show you one of my sins here, and I'm going to fix it, but even things like this, where this body piece is not quite fitting correctly, tells you that, you know, it's been repaired and not necessarily correctly, and that was on me. I just replaced the key the other day, and I must not have got this part here clicked in, so I'll get it fixed. That's okay. Again, you want to see that covers are in place. Okay, this one was missing, this one was missing. The gas cap wasn't missing, but the key didn't match the original ignition, so now it does. I fixed that. This is a spot that's real common on all BWSs, regardless of year, that shows massive signs of sliding when driving, because this will actually get scraped up if they dump it while they're driving. And this top piece, I just bought this one, was only 90 bucks for the whole top piece where your feet sit, and it makes it look nice and new and shows some care and attention. And all the bolts should line up, because that means everything is straight and not crooked. All right, things like this, reflectors. Okay, on bicycles we call them dork discs, but on here they're good because we already can't be seen at night or dark times. So we want reflectors. And again, if you look right here, okay, a little bit of cosmetic damage. I decided not to change that because I don't want it to be brand new. I want people to see that these things get used, but the lens isn't cracked. This thing is, the mounts aren't cracked. It's just got some scrapes from, honestly, that could have been just going through a tight space. But you want things like good conditioned side markers, okay? These, the kid had actually put Chinese eBay LED ones on, and that didn't work very good. And same with the back. The backs were duct taped on. $19. Brand new from Yamaha, $19. Comes with lens, bulb, everything. Why not spend $19? Take care of it, okay? Again, reflectors still here. And when it comes to scooters, exhaust, all right? They are guilty of always going for an exhaust to try and make more power. Now that does work on the old ones. It does not work on any of the newer ones that are 4-stroke. You really can't get a lot more power out of these things the way they are, okay? That's kind of an old 2-stroke thing. Now I had to replace all of the plastics around the shroud of the radiator again because it had been put on its side a few times. And that's why it was very inexpensive when I bought it, but I've put a lot of money into it to make it so it's 100% and easy for me to put a warranty on it. Super sorry if this is rambling on, my bad. There's a lot of information that I find really important to, you know, when people want to know why the scooter they're looking at should be valued less than what they're offering, okay? So again, sorry if this video is going a little long. I apologize, but it is going to be, it's important. If you're thinking about purchasing something, even though it is likely going to be around $2,000 for a really old one that probably needs a lot of work, or anywhere up to $4,000 for a pretty new one, you want to know these things because I'll show you, okay? I'll show you, but it's important. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is tires, okay? And this is a really good indication of the knowledge of the person you're buying it from because I'm so sick of it's got lots of tread, tires are good. So sick of it. It's not how motorcycles work. I will show you. Okay, so let's talk about tires briefly, okay? When I say briefly, I hope it's short. The tire situation on scooters was really bad here. The suppliers, I don't know why it got kind of left behind and there wasn't a whole lot of tires. This is even after the whole COVID situation. And I think it has to do with the tire companies prioritizing, looks like we're trying to do a deep V there. You don't want to see that hair. It comes down to the tire companies, sorry. How's that? Comes down to the tire companies prioritizing higher profit tires. So that would be in the motorcycle world, you know, your heavy duty cruiser tires, which cost a ton of money. Your large crotch rocket tires, which don't have a lot of material in them, but cost a lot of money and not necessarily taking care of the scooter people. So they are coming back into stock, but there is a limited amount. That being said, even when these scooter tires were readily available, didn't seem like people were changing their scooter tires as often as they should. And I'll show you why. This is the tire from the BWS behind us. Okay, still has your paint markings from new, still has some markings from the molds that were in the tire machine, okay? It even still has wear bars that aren't, right here. So this is a wear bar, okay? It's a slightly higher raised piece of rubber that when it gets to this spot will disappear, okay? That is not necessarily what you care about when it comes to the life of a tire on motorcycles and scooters. In cars, sure, if you are in a good environment, never rains, never snows, always pretty like nice conditions, A wear bar is a good indication of when your tire is no longer road worthy, okay? Now, on a tire that belongs on a motorcycle, all right, and this is very important, it is not the tread depth at all. Let me get a tread depth meter and I'll show you. Okay, so that's that tire that we were just talking about, okay? There it is, all right? And here is a brand new tire for a high horsepower crotch rocket, okay? Brand new, never been installed, okay? Just got it yesterday. This is a conventional, good old-fashioned tread depth gauge, okay? It is what it is. It's kind of designed for car tires, and like all tools, it can be manipulated, and gauges, it can be manipulated to work for however you want it to work, okay? You'll see this sometimes on like on a Facebook post, all right, where they'll show you like the head of a penny or something, okay, in the tread depth. Who cares? All right, here we go. There is the gauge. So what it does is it like, you push it down into the groove and it shows you how deep it is, okay? And what we're worried about here is millimeters because I'm a metric kid. So right there is where it gets deep, and it is at 4 millimeters, okay? That's where it is. It's 4 millimeters. This tire here, all right? Now, I can go anywhere on this tire and find a spot, all right? Like right here. Guess what? It's 3 millimeters. So this tire that is, made 5 years ago and has driven many kilometers still has almost the same tread depth as that other brand new tire, okay? This doesn't matter, all right? Short of being bald, which does happen, tread depth is irrelevant when it comes to motorcycles as far as I'm concerned. I'll show you the real thing that I want you to worry about when it comes to motorcycles. All right, one is tire condition. You want to look, and I really hope I can pick this up, but you want to look for aged weathering cracks, okay? I'm going to take off, give me a second here, I'm just going to take off this wide angle lens, and I'm going to zoom in, and hopefully I'll be able to show you on screen here. Come on, 4K. It is dry cracking. It is starting to deteriorate. This still isn't the worst one I've seen, okay? But that is one of the things I want you to look for when you are looking at tires, okay? And the reason is that's a good indication of the age. Now the other one is I'll show you right here. On most tires, you will find what's called a production date, okay? Or a DOT number sometimes. And it finds itself in this little window, okay? Right here. And what these are is the week on most tires. You will find what's called a production date, okay? Or a DOT number sometimes. And it finds itself in this little window, okay? Right here. And what these are is the week that the tire was manufactured, so the 44th week of the year. So this tire was manufactured the 44th week of 2018, all right? That is okay. Okay, that's on the very edge of okay for age, all right? I try not to, and for the most part, will not install a tire that old because the environment that tires live in sometimes is like exposed outside. They don't get a lot of driving, which, I don't want to get into the science of why using your tires is so important. It keeps them supple and soft and working good, okay? Stored tires don't usually work out well, okay? But anyway, now you know that this number, and it is supposed to be on every single tire. I have found a couple, very rare, that don't have that, all right? So I don't like tires older than 5 years on a vehicle, okay? And I don't care if it's a car or bike, whatever. Here's the next thing, all right? Very, very important. And the front tires are the biggest victim of this because they can still look like a decent tire, all right? They don't look terrible. This doesn't look awful, except when you start staring at the profile of the tire, okay? And I'm hoping I can show you here what's going on, and I'm going to exaggerate it on this whiteboard. All right, so what we want is to have a perfectly rounded, even, I don't want to say it's circumference. Yep, you want to have a nice rounded circumference of the edge of your tire. And as tires wear down, especially the front ones, they lose that shape. And that happens because of the, the crown of our roads, just the way that we're always, cornering. Typically, we have a lean on our bikes, and wind and whatever. The way we normally drive our bikes, it will eventually wear a tire funny, okay? Especially the way our roads are crowned. So like in Alberta, our highways and roads have, and I would just suspect this is most roads, they're not perfectly straight across, okay? What they do is from the middle of the road, they have a crown. And that's so that water, okay, will flow off of the roads kind of naturally so it doesn't pool in the middle and create a bunch of hydroplaning and, hazards in the rain. It also gets rid of the moisture off of the pavement and tries to make it last longer, okay? The other thing is that, especially again in Alberta, our slow lane is on, if you have 2 lanes, our slow lane is supposed to be on the right. Try to explain that to people, but heavy trucks tend to be over here. And again, what it can do is create divots and crowns and stuff and pulls the road that way. So as a motorcyclist, you're always, okay, you got a motorcyclist, there's his tire and the bike, okay, whatever, my art sucks. But here's his seat, okay, and his handlebars. To compensate for the fact that the road is slanted like this, the motorcycle is always kind of leaning one direction, okay? Always leaning that way, will then take a tire that would be normally nice and round, okay, and it'll start to slant it off. Okay, this is actually really accurate. So instead of it being perfectly round, I'm going to just exaggerate the hell out of it, and it starts to go that way, okay? What that gives us is a really garbage handling tire in every other situation except for driving perfectly straight on the road that it probably has worn down on the most, okay? And so when you look at a motorcycle tire and it's been on the road for a while, it no longer has this nice shape to it, okay, with tread. It no longer has that shape to it. Instead, it will have kind of a trapezoidal and uneven shape. So it no longer will have a uniformed shape. It will look funny. It will have this shape to it. Sometimes even, I've seen it really bad where the tire actually cups in like this. Okay, this isn't fake. I've seen tires this way. All right, I could probably go out in the shop and show you one. So this makes 2 things happen. It makes it so it doesn't want to corner nice at speed. It actually fight you. It'll fight you. The scooter will feel bad. The motorcycle will feel bad. But it will also have really crappy low-speed turning inside a parking lot. It'll actually fight you from turning your motorcycle. And it's how when I drive a motorcycle from the back of the shop to the front, I instantly know whether or not a tire is bad. Now, you can see it in this tire. This is not the same as this. Okay, they're not perfect. And in a tiny little diameter like this, that's bad. That means it's pretty severe already. So, although that was a bit of a ramble, now you know when you're looking at a tire and you stare down the edge of it, okay, it needs to be round. Let me show you. I'll grab this brand new one. Okay, this thing is perfect. There is no weird shape to it. Everything is smooth. And that's the other thing too, is you want to check for what's called sawtoothing. So, sawtoothing is, let's see if we can do this here. When the edge of a tread, especially in more aggressive tires, like you'll see this on adventure bikes, you can actually see how the tread is no longer smooth across the top, and there's actually ridges built up. Okay, and it creates like a sawtooth. It's higher here than it is here. And how's the best way to show that? That kind of shows it. Yeah, you can see it right there. It looks like a sawtooth across there, and it actually will make quite a rumble, and again, feel like crap. You can actually see it's feathering up here. It's getting so tall here and so skinny here. So those are other things you're looking for, all right? Now, that's not even a bad tire compared to what I've seen. This is a crap tire. This tire, a customer paid way too much for the scooter, okay? Because the person that owned the scooter said, you know, it probably needs a new tire, but there's a little tread left on the outside. Well, guys, we don't use this part here, okay? We don't do a lot of cornering, and this tire was actually so bad. That, okay? It was actually holding air until it got here. But, and the person that sold this to them, like, where's your conscience? I don't know. People are horrible to each other. All right, and I'll show you on the edge of this tire, since we were talking about it once. Let's try and find that date. Let's find that date. There it is. It's not even that old of a tire. This thing got the hell beat out of it. This is from the 30th week of 2017, and this tire looks like this, okay? So that's probably an indication that the kid was doing burnouts, all right? Okay, that went a little longer than I wanted it to, but it gets my point across about the tires, okay? Now, the reason I bring up tires is the cost, okay? So if you're paying $2,000 for a bike, for a scooter, and the only thing that it actually needs is tires, you're still going to be looking at around $100 a tire, okay, for mediocre tires. And they can go up to about, you know, they can get up to $120, $130 for the tire. And depending on what scooter it is, the time to install a tire on the front is an hour. It's what I charge. And on the back, it is, again, probably an hour, okay? So you're going to be into a set of tires, mounted and balanced, because scooter tires still need balancing. I don't care what the internet says, it's what makes tires last longer and feel better for your kid or you. And you're going to be at probably 120, 220, around $300 to $400 pretty easily to put tires on. Now you're at $2,400, and there better not be anything else wrong with that bike, right? And typically when we take the tires off is when we find some of the other service items that have been neglected. That's when we see the brakes in the rear, we see the condition of some of the bearings and the front brakes and the forks and the shocks, and that's when we're going to start seeing some of those issues that get expensive. So we'll look back at this bike. Bike like this is going to be the top of the price range. They have new tires, new brakes, oil's been changed, all the plastics are in condition, nothing is broken, nothing is aftermarket, everything is 100% the way it should be. Keys are the right things, nothing is bent, the grips are correct, the seat's not torn, okay, the body's in good shape, reflectors are there, it always starts and runs, the battery is good, okay? Some of these scooters, the batteries haven't been working. So I've rambled on forever. Basically, look over the bike. If it looks rough, it's probably rough. I've shown you some basic things
to do with tires, overall condition, things that indicate it's been really abused, and overall not loved. So this will be the end of part 1. It is definitely going to be at least 2, if not 3 parts to get this all finished, because I like talking too much. And I appreciate you hanging with me as long as you did. So this unit is definitely ready to go. I'm going to wheel it off the hoist here, and then it's going to fade to black because I don't want you to see the next part. And I appreciate you coming in today. So have a good day. We'll see you in about a week, maybe 2, for part 2.